Hello everyone, Hamas28 here, and today we're back in the world of Stoneblock 4. So, long time no see. It's been a minute since our last episode. Sorry for the hiatus, but I did go on a little trip. Why is that full of steam? How did you get full of steam? Interesting. But I did go on a little vacation since the last episode, and I'm now back now. I am fully, jet lagged though. I woke up at like 4 a.m. this morning and had to catch up on some work, do some stuff, but then I had time to do some recording and get back into Stoneblock 4. So, as we left off, we're in Tier 5 Hyperion, and we're actually pretty close to finishing off these two chapters. Now, I was interacting with people while I was out and about. And if we come back in here, from the last episode, I believe I updated this in between episodes. I don't remember if I did it last episode, but as you could see, with 9 stasis chambers, with all the add-ons, the Mighty Ender Chicken, if we can see its hitbox right here, it's kind of hard to get, there we go. It now stays at full health, and if I wanted to make this even faster, I could add more laser drills to the fluid laser base to make this go even quicker. But it seems like this does work at a pretty reasonable pace now. If we search Chaos, we have 210 fragments, which I think is enough to make our, where is it? Chaos Chicken. So for the Chaos Chicken, we needed an Awakened Draconium Chicken and then 4 large Chaos Fragments, which I think we can make now. So if I do this guy, we need 4 large Chaos Fragments. Let's see how many we get from this. 17, 23. Oh, that's actually not enough, right? Because we need 9 of these. 1, 2. Yeah, so we're still short 2 of these, but we're actually not that far off. But I don't think, what do we need for a black hole? You only need a small chaos fragment, so it's actually not too bad. So we really don't need too many chaos fragments at this point. Not actually sure what we use them for. I think it's mostly draconic, whatchamacallit. Which means while we let more of those get produced, let's go down this way and work on our Neutronium. Now I did add a couple in between episodes. Just added 3 more. And for some reason, this one doesn't pull. Put that in here. Is this chest linked? Huh, interesting. So now if I just come in here and type Neutronium, there we go, neutron piles, we need to make a Neutronium ingot, which comes from neutron nuggets, which is 9 neutron piles. Little expensive, but not too bad. Let's go ahead and make 1, 2, 3, make 9 of these. I wonder how much of these we're going to need to make our Neutronium ingot. Now, if you want to make a lot more of these, really the only way to do it is just add more neutron collectors and then just wait. You could also use the temporal pouch to really speed it up. Like I think, let's see, we have 5 hours in here, so if I speed this up, let's see how fast it goes. Yeah, not that much faster. Yeah, so at time 64, it does 1 neutron pile like every couple seconds, which is still really slow. But there's our Neutronium. Once you have the plutonium pellets, you can craft the neutron collector. This machine generates a neutron pile about every 6 minutes. Neutron activator is now next. Neutronium gives you a start to work with, but now we need to activate it. The Neutron Activator is a multi-block machine that will be used for this purpose. This machine requires heat to simulate the power of the sun that is obviously missing in this stone world. It can convert nuclear waste into polonium and lithium into tritium when powered with a single neutron pile. Convert nuclear waste. Interesting. Antimatter. Nuclear waste. Fission reactor, fissile fuel. Interesting. Neutron activator. But first we're going to need some of this stuff. Let's see. Empowered void crystal should be easy enough to get. A reactor heat vent. 8 whisper glass. A carbon plating block. Why does it say I already have one? Activator. Did I get one at some point? Why is it already active? I don't think I ever crafted one of these. Crystal matrix block. Energy core stabilizers. Energy core. Do I even have that upgrade? How odd. Anyways, we're also going to need for this thing bronze plate. I don't think I ever made bronze, but I think we have the fluid cow for it, and HDPE sheets. And these are not too difficult to get. It will take a little bit of, infrastructure to make the pellets, but the pellets come from substrate, which is just made with liquid ethene, oxygen, substrate, and substrate just comes from, oh, that's funny. You can use substrate to make more substrate, which is biofuel or biomass in a pressurized reaction chamber with hydrogen and water. So really not that difficult. Then it makes ethene, and then we can use the ethene for other stuff, right? Yeah, and then you can use the ethene to make more substrate, and then it makes oxygen. Wait, so is that just a loop? No, it's not a loop because this needs hydrogen. So before we get distracted, let's go ahead and craft the neutron activator first. It even notes after that to make the antimatter, you want to take a look at the mechanism reactor. And it does note you'll need half the amount of nuclear waste as normal, which is pretty good. So let's start working on the neutron activator. So we're going to need this guy here. We're going to need 24 of these carbon blocks, 8 whisper glass, an empowered void crystal, reactor neutron reflector, and reactor heat vent. All stuff we should be able to craft pretty easily. Oh, I already have one of these right here. Reactor neutron. Yeah, perfect. Craft one of these. Gotta make sure I save it though. I don't want to lose anything. Neutron. Why are you taking so long? Oh, right, because making alloys takes a while. So we need one of these. We need a reactor heat vent. Luckily, I did make a bunch of these carbon fiber strands in advance. We need an empowered void crystal block. See, it's so nice to have all the autocrafts set up because you could just click into it and start making everything. Makes it really easy. You're not broken, right? You're working? That's a good question. You should be working. Oh, right, it has to do that. Oh, that's funny. I needed 4 of these to make the crystal, but I could have just requested the crystal. Then we're going to need how much whisper glass? We need 8 whisper glass. Put that here. 8 whisper glass. We need how many carbon plating blocks? We need 24. Now, I don't think I've crafted this before, so it's not going to be in the assembler. Reactor wall. Yeah, carbon plating block. In the assembler, it looks like this. Steel, reinforced carbon sheet, and plastic. Do I have the carbon sheets ready to go? Carbon sheets. I do. Perfect. So we need how many of these? We're going to need 24. The assembler does 8, so I need to do this craft 3 times. So 3 sheets, plastic, and steel. Do I have plastic? I can make plastic. Perfect. So we need 3 of this. And we're going to need some steel. 1, 2, 3. That's 4. I can't count. And some steel. Where's my steel at? There we go. I should probably make a lot more steel while I'm here. Oh, I can make blocks of steel. That's why. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So now if I come into our assembler and throw this in. Perfect. It's going to make our carbon plating. 24 of this. Then we just need 1 neutron activator. I still don't know why it thinks it's done. I must have got one at some point, and it like saved it as unlocked. But for this part, do we have bronze? I think we have access to bronze, right? Bronze. Okay, I must have made bronze at some point, but I don't think we have an alloy cow for bronze. Go up. Although we should have one. Do I not have bronze? I could have swore bronze is like one of the easier ones. Copper. I guess I never made the alloy cow for bronze. But we can just make it pretty easily. Because bronze is just an ingot of copper and tin. So let's go to our alloy. Let's make a bunch of bronze. So we need copper and some tin. That's platinum. Oh, it has tin in the name. Where's our tin? We can make blocks of tin. Why do I have tons of raw tin? Why do I have this? Really have no idea why. Melting factory, put you in there. Okay, that was really fast. Block of tin. And let's grab a stack. And let's throw this into the alloyer to make a bunch of bronze. That should be all the bronze we're gonna need. Foundry, that goes in there. And that shall start making our bronze. Perfect. So bronze plates, and then we can make that. Oh, you could just throw them in the compressor. Why do you need hydrogen for the compressor? Guess I'll just use the hammer then. It's funny. There's way more efficient ways to make plates, but I'm just too lazy to set them up. Like, why do I need to put hydrogen in this? Even though if I just built the metal press, I could just have it set up, but I'm a bit lazy to do that when using the hammer is just faster. But we are going to need the HDPE pellets. I don't think we have... No, we should have an enrichment chamber. We come out over here. Crushing, enriching, we do. Are you full? You're not full. Perfect. So we need HDPE. So HDPE pellets go in the enrichment chamber. Come in here, this one. HDPE, enrichment chamber. Pattern press, where is our enrichment chamber? Crushing, enrichment, to make our sheets. And then to make the pellets, we are going to need a pressurized reaction chamber. Pressurized reaction chamber. Reaction chamber. See, we're missing a dynamic tank, 2 tanks, and an enrichment chamber. Stuff we should be able to craft. Enrichment chamber. Basic control circuits. And then dynamic tanks. And 2 basic chemical tanks. Done. Yeah, I guess I never made one of these before. Let's go ahead and add it. Do I have enough channels for this? I'm not actually sure. Let's see. 18 of 32. Yeah, we have enough channels. Oh, and I remember someone had asked, they wanted to see what this whole device was. The reason I never made a tutorial or really explained this is because this entire thing is just 2 blocks, the ME pattern provider and the molecular assembler. All you have to do is just stack them in this little pattern of 2 by 2 with the pattern provider touching 2 molecular assemblers with another pattern provider on the other side, and it just works. All you need to put in here is your patterns, and if you use the pattern terminal, it does it for you pretty much automatically. So if we throw this guy right here, we're going to need some upgrades in this guy. So let's craft these. Upgrade. Let's grab 32 of you. And 32 of you. Those will start crafting. So HDPE, pellets, substrate. So we're going to need liquid ethene and oxygen. plus substrate. Now to make the substrate, we need to put in hydrogen and water plus biofuel. So we can make biofuel from the crusher with any form of biomass. We should have access to a lot of pumpkins and melons. I think you can use melons in this, right? Yes. We should have access to a bunch of melons. Melons, perfect. So if we go to our crusher, yeah, we have room for melons in here. Reaction chamber, throw these in. There we go. Let's go ahead and add this to our crusher. So I need HDPE sheet, pellet, substrate, biofuel, crusher. Then I just need to use the melons. There we go. Throw this into our crusher. Crushing factory. So now we can make biofuel. Substrate. Now we take our biofuel. We need to put this into the pressurized reaction chamber with water and hydrogen. So if I use biofuel, not like that. Biofuel, reaction chamber. We want substrate. So this says water, hydrogen will make this an ethene. So we'll code this. I will need a pattern provider. Done. So let's go ahead and add this down here. Like so. This is why it's so useful to set up like a big line of smart cables, because it makes adding stuff to the AE system so much easier. So now if I tell it I want HD a sheet, it's going to say we don't know how to make the pellets. So if we come up here and we need HDPE pellets, substrate oxygen also goes in there. Oh, I need more patterns. Patterns. That goes into, where is, there it is. Like so. So now if I tell it to make HDPE sheet, it's going to say we don't have liquid ethene, oxygen, or hydrogen. I thought ethene is a byproduct. HDP, this one. Substrate, yeah. Ethene. Hydrogen and water. To make hydrogen, we will need... Oxygen and water. Is there an easy way to get a lot of oxygen? Oxygen, item to chemical, flint makes oxygen. But how do I turn it into oxygen? That's a good question. Because I'm thinking what would be the easiest way to set this up. I was thinking that this one, substrate, I can just make hydrogen using the electrolytic separator just to turn water into hydrogen and oxygen. I think that'll probably be the easiest. So we'll just go ahead and make one of these. Electrolytic separator. Electrolytic separator. Yep, craft all of that. Thank you. And make the separator. Bam. Now for the electrolytic separator, I need to put water in this to make oxygen and hydrogen. We have a fluid storage cell, but I think this needs to be a chemical storage. Electrolytic separator. Yeah, do these count as chemical storage? I think they do. So you do need a separate type of cell. Chemical cell. And I think we could just use one of these. So let's craft this guy, and then if we just make an empty one, it should work. Chemical storage cell, put you in here. And we shouldn't need too much chemical storage, because I'm just going to use this to store ethene, oxygen, and hydrogen. I don't think we're going to need to store too much of anything else. And that should work. Now for the electrolytic separator, we just have to provide it with water and then have the outputs get plugged into the AE system. So if we come down here, I think we can put this guy, I'll put it over here for space reasons. We put you here. We just need to import water. So if we grab an export bus. Oh, did I take out the export buses? ME export bus? No, I could just craft it. That's fine. Export bus, and then grab some cabling. So we should be able to put this guy here. Ooh, why did it lag like that? Export. Now if I set this to water, does work. Perfect. So now it's going to make hydrogen and oxygen. So now if we grab an importer, ME import bus, we should be able to just put this here and set this to oxygen. Why are there two types? Regular oxygen, oxygen, and hydrogen. Liquid and regular. Now I do have to set this to output on the bottom. So site config chemicals. Bottom is going to be output 1, 2. Can I do both? It doesn't look like you could do both. You could only output one or the other, which is a little sad. Yeah, eject is on. So I guess to get around that, I'll just have to use another import bus. This is very inefficient just because for one machine I'm using 3 channels, but it should work for our purposes. So now if we just, yep, there's the oxygen, chemicals, output 1 and 2, there. So now if I search hydrogen, we have 4 buckets, and if we search oxygen, we have 2 buckets. Perfect. Now can I speed this guy up? We can. Let's throw in some upgrades. I don't want it too fast, so let's do 16 and 16. Because this will still be limited by the amount of water we can provide on the inside. Speed upgrades and energy upgrades. There we go. Yeah, see, now it's having problems. It can't output the hydrogen and the oxygen fast enough, but that's fine. I don't really mind that issue. So now that we have those, if I tell it to make HDPE pellets, the sheet, liquid ethene, pressurized liquid ethene flowing, ethene, liquid ethene. Ah, interesting. Okay, I see. So to make substrate into HDPE, you need liquid ethene, but substrate produces gaseous ethene. Is there another way to make ethene? Not really. So to turn the ethene into liquid ethene, we have to use a condensator to essentially turn it into liquid. So let's make one of these guys. Conden. Wait, do I already have one of these? I do, but it's not in the AE network. Chemical tank. Condensator. Now if we come out over here, put you right, should work. So now we need to set this, okay, like so. Now we need an importer and an exporter. Import bus. Export bus. We'll have the import on the right and you on the left. And we'll set this to export ethene. And import liquid ethene. So if I tell it to make substrate, it's going to craft 1 bucket of ethene, 24 biofuel, and 10 substrate. So if we click craft, okay, it's crafting. That goes in here. Oh, this is not set to output on the bottom. Eject, output, input and output bottom, chemicals, input, input and output bottom, fluids. Oh, it did work. Okay, so this one, auto eject. There we go. So it made the substrate. So now this guy is turning our ethene into liquid ethene. So now if I type HDPE sheet, it can make it. Perfect. So how much did we need? We need 4 of these sheets, which is going to take some more liquid ethene. That does kind of make a problem in that we need to make substrate in order to make the liquid ethene. So let's just go ahead and make 100 to get more of this. And then that should kind of fix the problem. It's not the best solution, but I mean it kind of works. There we go, to make 4 of that. And then that kind of works. It's not the best, but it is a solution. So now we can grab our HDPE sheets. Now we should be able to craft the Neutron activator. So we're going to need 1 steel casing. Going to need 2 elite control circuits. We're going to need 3 bronze plates. I should have a hammer in here. Yep, there we go. We need 3 of these plates. And I forgot it does that. Not sure why. And 2 reinforced alloy. Reinforced alloy. 1 more. That's everything. Perfect. So now if we go into the world engine. Ooh, bit laggy in here. And throw all this in there. It'll craft it. Now, I don't know what happened since the last time I recorded, but I did notice that if I didn't have this Chronon battery in my inventory, I can't use my teleporter pad. Like it said I don't have this thing anymore, which is odd. Because I thought this Chronon generator was supposed to be providing enough, but it seemed to stop working. So now if we pull out the activator, we have everything we need to make the multi-block. Now how do I actually build this thing? Neutron activator. Usually it would show how to do it, which is odd. I also need to figure out where I'm going to put this. One problem at a time. Let's see how to build this thing. Oh, I think if I just place it down, it shows it, right? No. Why does it work, though? I'm a little bit confused. Well, I'll solve that, and then we'll come right back. Okay, so I think I figured out how to make it work. So if I click U, we should be able to click this guy. And it didn't work. Oh, maybe if I place it. There we go. And I thought this was a good place to put it, kind of overlooking the main area here. So if we grab our carbon plating blocks, should be able to build the structure like so. Then it looks like the glass comes in over here. So you kind of build the frame like this. Like so. Glass goes here. It doesn't look like there is a bottom though. So if we take these two, this one goes here, you go there, then put some more glass on these sides. Like so. You go on the top, and these go here. Done. Looks pretty nifty too. Neutron activator. How do I use this machine? Neutronium gives you a start to work with, but now we need to activate it. The Neutron activator is a multi-purpose block that will do such a thing. It converts nuclear waste into polonium and lithium into tritium when powered with a single neutron pile. So if I grab a neutron pile, that should be all it needs to run it. But we have the issue of we don't have anything to put in here. Temperature required greater than 420. Polonium, tritium, lithium, nuclear waste. Lithium is made into tritium, nuclear waste is made into polonium. Gotcha. So with the neutron activator, you can now convert nuclear waste. This will give you the ability to create antimatter using this supercritical phase shifter. Take a look at the Mechanism Reactor quest if you want to learn more about creating reactors and converting nuclear waste. Also, you only need half the normal amount of nuclear waste as normal. Luckily, let me claim these real quick. Oh, if I get biofuel and substrate, it actually gives me a bit more. Interesting. Oh. That's funny. I didn't think they actually explained all of that as much, but it looks like they did. They tell you exactly how to set it up, which is really useful. Because as you remember from Reclamation, I had to go into that completely blind and just figure it out by vibes. So, radiation and this is just making a radiation suit, which you don't really need, but it does kind of block this thing. But for fissile fuel, this is what's very useful. As you remember from, if you watch my Reclamation series, you know I got really confused on how to generate fissile fuel. That's not going to happen in Stoneblock 4. They tell you exactly what you need to do to set up the supply chain. The fissile fuel needed to run fission reactors is made by processing sulfur, fluoride, and uranium with some water products. It seems complicated, but unlike in real life, it is easier than it seems. First, use sulfuric acid to break down fluorite into hydrofluoric acid in the chemical dissolution chamber. Second, enrich uranium ingots into yellow cake uranium before oxidizing it into uranium oxide. Finally, combine the hydrofluoric acid and uranium oxide in a chemical infuser before piping it into the isotopic centrifuge to produce fissile fuel. Tip: fluorite blocks take as much sulfuric acid to break down as a single crystal, but produce as much hydrofluoric acid as 9 crystals, saving on sulfur. So, we are going to need these 4. If I remember correctly, I needed more, but I guess if I use my AE system to hold all the things, it should work with just the 4 of them. So let's make the rotary condensator, the chemical dissolution chamber, the chemical infuser, and the isotopic centrifuge. Refined obsidian. Can I make these? I don't think I can make these. Don't think I have a osmium compressor. Let's see, we'll start with this guy. Go ahead and make that. Basic fluid tank. And the basic chemical tank. Make the chemical dissolution chamber. Where did I get these before? Molten refined obsidian. Oh, I must have got them from a loot bee, as you could see. Refined obsidian comes from the osmium compressor, so I'm going to need one of these guys. Luckily we can autocraft everything. Chemical dissolution, this one, osmium compressor, like so. Why is it taking so long to craft some buckets? What's going on? Why are you stuck making buckets? That's weird. Huh. That's not supposed to happen. Where's my bucket stored? Bucket. I am so confused. Huh, that's odd. I don't even see buckets in here, so I don't even know how it was auto-crafting. It's so odd. Osmium compressor. Then we're gonna... What are you doing in here? He does sell pitcher plants. Okay, so if we come back in here, we can put it right here. That should work. Osmium compressor. And then this just has to get osmium and some other stuff. So we could just use a pattern provider and it should work. Actually, I'm not sure. Because it might count as something else. I guess I'll have to find out. So let's see, put you here. Osmium compressor. And let's see if we can make our refined obsidian. Yeah, I don't want this osmium. I want osmium ingots. Like so. That should work, right? 200. How much does a single osmium ingot give? 200. Okay, so that should work. Dust in there, and the compressor makes this. So now if we come over here and go to the compressor, I think it's getting confused. That's the issue. Osmium compressor. Okay, so now if I tell it to make refined obsidian, I don't see anything going in here. Auto eject. Oh, well actually it's gonna craft a bunch of other stuff first. Okay, it's making the steel. Wait, why is the steel casing stuck? Available. Find obsidian. Interesting. Why is the steel casing? Unless, maybe the issue is I used too many channels and it broke? Is that the case? 10 of 32. 32. Okay, yeah, I think that's the issue. Okay, yeah, that's the problem. I have 25 channels coming in this way, but not enough coming over here. Luckily, there's an easy solution to that. If I just grab some smart cables, see, and I grab fiber, I can just disconnect this here and run this over here. So now if we look, this has 25 channels and this one has 14. Okay, so that should have fixed it. There we go. Okay, so what's the word? So I guess that was the issue. I overloaded the channels. So now our compressor bottom is reading as extra. Needs to read as input. So if I cancel you and I try to make it again, let's see. Yeah, it's not putting in. Eject, input, input, output, input, output, chemicals, input. I think I know the problem. The osmium compressor needs the obsidian dust to go in the top, and then it needs the chemical version of osmium on the bottom. But the AE system is trying to push both items into the top slot, and since it can't fit both of them at the same time, it's not pushing any of them. So to fix that, I have to use this guy to tell it specifically what to do. So take a look, advanced pattern provider. I do have one. So I need to break this. Put you here. Then I need, where is it? I should have it, yeah, there we go. The advanced pattern encoder. There we go. So we're gonna tell it to target the face adjacent, and then we're going to tell this to target the front. So the front is the west side. Target the west face of the machine, target the face adjacent. So now if I put this in here, click this, this is going to be input on the bottom. Items is going to be input from the front. I don't want anything from the left or anything from the right. Okay, now if I tell it, it should work theoretically. And it doesn't seem like it's working. It's a little annoying. It did take it though. Unless it went somewhere else. Interesting. I'm gonna have to figure that out later. I don't want to get stuck while I'm recording. So let's just go ahead and make this manually. 8 refined, and then we need some osmium. Because I'm not quite sure why it's not working. See, it works fine just like that. Let's grab some upgrades. 32 speed and 32 energy. Could also make the factory upgrade so it can do multiple at the same time, but I think I only need it for the refined obsidian, so if I just have a bunch of upgrades, that should be good enough. Energy first, and speed. I thought it was 101. That's weird. Refined obsidian. So now we should be able to make the chemical dissolution chamber. We need 2 of these chemical tanks. Don't need the seeds or the neutronium ingot or this cobblestone. We need a chemical infuser. and the isotopic centrifuge. Here's a stick. I don't want it. Done. Everything we need for fissile fuel. Now, first we need sulfuric acid to break down fluorite into hydrofluoric acid in the chemical dissolution chamber. So how do we get sulfuric acid? Sulfuric acid sulfur trioxide. Ah, see, this is what I was talking about. There was no easy way. Wait, can I just put it into a purification chamber? Sulfur dust. Enrichment chamber makes gunpowder. Sulfur dioxide. Sulfur gem. Item to chemical. Sulfuric acid. Purification chamber. Wait, so can I just use the... Item to chemical. So if I put this... Like, this is showing the purification chamber. Oh no, this is for something entirely different. Yeah, that's what it is. This won't... I can't pull it out of here, I don't think. Interesting. So, sulfuric acid comes from the chemical infuser, which takes sulfur trioxide and water vapor. Sulfur trioxide comes from oxygen and sulfur dioxide. And sulfur dioxide comes from chemical oxidizing sulfur dust. So we need a chemical oxidizer. Chemical oxidizer. And what is this? Why does it need one of these? That's so weird. Personal chest. I already put the barrels in there though. Personal chest. Chemical oxidizer. So now, this is why I hate this kind of setup. It's so annoying. So we have the chemical oxidizer. That's gonna make our... That's gonna convert the sulfur. Like we have tons of sulfur. Sulfuric acid. Wait a minute. No, there's no way. It won't let you use... Yeah, it won't let you swap these. It has to be the mechanism sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid comes from here. Wait, first use sulfuric acid to break down fluoride. Sulfuric acid. Sulfur trioxide, sulfur dioxide. For a second, I thought there was an easier way, but then I remembered it's not. Chemical dissolution chamber. Wait a minute. Am I just a fool? Let me see something. Chemical dissolution chamber. Where do I have power? Let's see, I split this. Just want to make sure. 32. So this can support 7 more channels. So that should be fine. I think I was really making a mountain out of a molehill here. So if I just throw you right here, then I grab sulfur. Gotcha. Okay, so I have a sulfur chicken, so I don't have to worry about this being inefficient. I think what I was doing, if I use the chemical oxidizer version, it's a way more efficient way of making sulfuric acid. But I don't need to do that. So, we need fluorite. Do I have fluorite? Fluorite gems, polymorphic fluid, fluorite dust, block of fluorite, fluorite gems, fluorite chicken. Perfect. I wasn't actually sure if I made this chicken. So now if I put this in here, it works. I just need more sulfur. So I'm going to need an exporter on this. Export. ME export bus. And our smart cables. Set this to pull sulfur. Oh, this has to item input left. Oh, I think it has to go to extra. Yep, we're gonna need some acceleration cards to make this go faster. Acceleration. There we go. Now we can put these in there. And that should keep it topped up. So now the sulfur dust will combine with the blocks of fluorite to make hydrofluoric acid. So now that we have the hydrofluoric acid, we're going to combine that with uranium oxide. So we need to enrich uranium ingots into yellow cake uranium. Yellow cake. Should I have this running all the time? I think so. So let's make a new enrichment chamber. Can I save on channels if I set this up as a subnet? What that would mean is I would have an export bus, this export bus, send the sulfur into a barrel and then have the barrel pump it into the dissolution chamber. I might have to upgrade our sulfur chicken because this is actually chewing through sulfuric acid extremely fast. That's a problem for future games. So this hydrofluoric acid has to go into combine hydrofluoric acid in the chemical infuser. Chemical infuser. So you go here. Hydrofluoric acid. Uranium oxide. Yellow cake uranium. Chemical oxidizer. So chemical oxidizer goes on the right. Have you output chemical to the left. And I need yellow cake uranium. So let me throw in a bunch of uranium into our enricher. Luckily I can just craft a bunch. It's funny, it could go even faster, but it kind of gets stuck. There we go. Make a bunch of this. Grab our yellow cake. Chemical oxidizer. We're gonna need some speed upgrades in this. Okay, that goes in here to make uranium hexafluoride. Wait a minute. Combine the hydrofluoric acid and uranium oxide to make... Oh, it has to go into the isotopic centrifuge, that's why. not doing it wrong, it's actually doing it right. Let's see, let's make some upgrades. I'm gonna need a lot of these upgrades. Because we have 1, 2, 3 machines. 32 times 3. And 32 times 3. I'm gonna wait a second for these to craft. Alright, they're just about done. Grab these. And throw them in here. Energy upgrade. And then speed upgrades. So now that's gonna go a lot faster. Energy upgrade. Speed upgrade. Not enough energy to operate. That's interesting. Wait, we're out of power? Shouldn't be out of power. These should all be feeding power. From here. That's not right. Unless it's just eating that much power? Oh, I guess it is. And put these in here. Didn't realize this machine was such a power hog. 320 MFE per tick. I think I'm gonna slow it down then, by a lot. Well, hope that doesn't cause any long-lasting problems. Wait, that's all producing power, right? I'm gonna double check that real quick. Okay, it all seems to be powered. I had a concern that if I ran out of power, the Chaos Chicken was gonna free itself and start a rebellion, which would not have been good. But now that we're producing uranium hexafluoride, now we can throw it into the isotopic centrifuge, and we should be good to go. So we just need to figure out where to plant this guy. I think we'll put it on the other side. Because what does this make? This will make fissile fuel. I guess we'll just store this in the A network. So if I just put this guy right here, he gets power. And I get some pipes. We'll just pipe it from here into here. I need a chemical pipe, right? Chemical pipe. Mechanical pipe. This is for fluids. This is not a fluid, right? This is a chemical. Site config, eject, chemicals, input, input, output from the front. Yeah, it says it's a chemical. Chemical. So I need these basic tubes. Pressurized, elite, and ultimate. So if I just grab this guy. And it's not doing anything. Uranium hexafluoride got dumped in here, but it's not coming in here. Chemicals, front input. There we go. Now it's making the fissile fuel, and we're good to go. Maybe put our torch back. Now we're making fissile fuel, and now let's just import that back into the AE system. Set this to eject on the bottom. And it's working. Cool. So now if I do this, We're now storing the fissile fuel in AE, which means we can now build the reactor. Now, one of the biggest issues with the reactor is cooling. Luckily, we should be able to just use our A system and the infinite water cell to supply it with infinite water, as you can see. But if you don't have the infinite water card, I was told you can also use this pitcher plant here, as you can see, stores water. Not sure how often it goes or if it's infinite, because this just looks like, I don't know if that means 2.4 million buckets or millibuckets. Can't be sure, can't be sure. Yoink. So let's see. Now, to make this keep producing tons of fissile fuel, we will have to keep this supplied with yellow cake uranium. Yellow. In here. Just because it only produces so little at a time. As you can see, it just chewed it up so fast. I wonder how I can make this work better, though. There's got to be a better way to supply power to these things. Anyways, that's a problem for later. Because right now, let me store everything we don't need, like that stuff. We need to make the fission reactor so we can make our byproducts and convert them into nuclear waste. As you can see, they don't generate power by themselves. We also have to make a turbine. I wonder if it says how to do it here. Fission reactor, logic adapter, turbine. It does. Oh, and it even tells you how much stuff you should use to make the turbine. Good to know. We're going to need a lot of space for this, though. Actually, if we're using the AE system to store the fissile fuel, we should be able to come in here to build it. Because we do have a ton of space up here. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. See, because we have our fissile fuel. I wonder how much we're going to need, though. If I need more, I could just slap in some more yellow cake uranium. That's not a biggie. That's not a big deal. Okay, so first things first, what does it take to craft this? Lead and orange dye. A little bit annoying, but I mean, I can do that right now just to clear the quest. Waste barrel, the boots, pants, gown, and the hat. Craft all of this. Normally the radioactive waste barrel is useful just for getting rid of the byproduct, but we're going to go straight to processing, so I don't think we'll need it. Unfashionable, but smart. And we'll just throw all that in here. Dosimeter and Geiger counter. Interesting. And let's go right into building the fission reactor. Fission reactors take fissile fuel and coolant and convert them into nuclear waste and hot coolant. Fission reactors don't generate power by themselves. They can produce steam that can be pumped into a turbine. The reactor accepts two forms of coolants. From what I saw from my research, pretty much everyone just tries to figure out the best way to fill these with water, and they never use the sodium cooling until you make like a really, really big one. As it's just so much effort. Let's see here. Yeah, it scales up to 18, 18, 18. And the smallest is 3x4x3. At least 4 ports are needed. And then it shows you how to build one. I can't turn this one though. Reactors burn fuel at a max rate of 1 millibucket times the number of fuel assemblies per tick down to 0.01 millibuckets per tick. This rate also adjusts coolant demand and the production of steam and nuclear waste. Check the recipes and make sure your pipes can handle all these rates as well as your coolant production. From my own testing, I've found if you want to pump a ton of water into these, You just have to add a lot more reactor ports because a single port can't really handle enough. So if we just go off the guide here, this one is pretty small though, as you can see. Looks like it's only just one, which, if that's all they think we need for the pack, then I guess we'll just build this small one. If you remember from Reclamation, I built like a much bigger, where the inside one I think was a 5x5 by 5. This one is only going to use a single control rod, which, I mean, it'll be easier to supply water, I guess. So we need 24 reactor casing, 4 reactor ports. I can always make it bigger later. 6 glass, control rod assembly, and fission thingamabob. So let's see if we can grab all of these. Everything needs these chemical tanks, I swear. 1 fission fuel assembly. One control rod assembly. We need... I never set this up for enriched iron. That's odd. Could have swore I had that set up. Luckily it shouldn't be that difficult. Where's my infuser? Enriched tin. I have enriched tin, but I don't have iron. Are you serious? Enriched iron. Coal and iron. Coal. Iron. Wait, what? How do I make the enriched iron? Oh, the infuser. There we go. Okay, 101, perfect. So we need 6 of these. 4 of these guys. Fission reactor casings. How many of these do we need? 24, and then plus the ones for this. So we need 24 of these. Four. So I need 5 of these. $24. Then we need 4 of these. And another elite control circuit. And I think that's it. Quest completed. Fission reactor. So let's go ahead and build this. And then if I need more of this later, I guess I'll just build a bigger one. Yeah, because at this size, honestly, I could just put it over here. And it just looks like that, base of 3x3. Like so. Then this one, that one. What did the picture look like? Huh, that's odd. Wouldn't let me place it on the top. There we go. I think we're going to need a little bit more of these though. If I make it bigger, I'm going to need them anyway. Then 1, 2. How did the picture look? 1, 2. I think they did 1, 2, 3, and 4. Wait, they did one on the top? They did. Interesting. I'll just do 2 right here. Glass, glass, glass right here. And then fill in the corners. And it worked. Cool. Oh, right. I need to connect this to AE. So where's my connection? It's down here. I'm going to need some more smart cables. I think that's enough. And let's see. So, before I turn this on, actually, no, I do want the power. I just want to keep it in the machine block, so if it explodes, it's contained in here. So we'll have the... We're going to have the water. We're going to have steam come out here. How should I do this? Yada yada. Here we go. We need one for water, one for fuel, one for steam, one for waste. So we'll have the waste come out the back. How do I... Not like that. I think I have to change this. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Output waste. Output... Is it coolant? I don't remember. I think it is coolant. Yeah, the coolant is technically steam. And then input, input. So we need to input water and fissile fuel. So we'll go ahead and connect this over here. Like so. Let me drag the cable around. Oh, this is not a good idea. I could snake the cable through here. Oh yeah, because I could just connect it from there. See, it all works out. There we go. Let me break this one. Pull it down this way, right here. And then we can just connect that and it'll be connected. Don't even need this one right here. That goes there, here, there, and there. Perfect. So now that's connected to AE. So now we can just export water and fissile fuel into this. So let me grab two exporters. Why are they taking so long? Printed silicon. That should not be taking that long. Because printed... Oh, because it was unloaded. That's funny. There we go. Actually, now that I think about it, I should probably chunk load my whole base. Because this whole area is chunk loaded, which is what I want. Export, export. So now if I set this to water... Yeah, that's going to start filling it. We're going to need 5 acceleration cards. Because if you ever build the fission reactor, you want to make sure it never runs out of water. Yeah, see, every time I leave, it can't actually do the craft because it's not claimed. So let me claim this whole area. How do I... There we go. Let's see, is this in a claimed chunk? Okay, guess that works. The only thing I don't like about that is that part of the mob farm is now claimed, which could have some unintended side effects, like my base blowing up. But I guess I'll worry about that at another time. So now if we put these in here, okay, there we go. It fills up with a lot more water. What's the input rate though? Because it looks like we're getting... I can't tell how much that is, but I think it's like 20,000 millibuckets. So now if we set this to fissile fuel and throw in 1, okay, that's going to fill, which is what we want. So now fissile fuel goes in here and coolant goes in the tank. Now we just have to build the steam turbine. How do I get the power out? I could just use a tesseract. This is making it a lot bigger though. So let's see, we need 48 of these. Let me remove this stuff. 48 turbine casings, 48 structural glass, 16 turbine vents, 8 dispersers, 2 valves, 2 turbine rotors, a rotational complex, and an electromagnetic coil. There's also a lot of reading on here for some reason. Yada yada, adding just one layer quadruples its power production capacity, so this quest will treat these dimensions as the minimum. Oh, interesting. The largest size is 17 by 18 by 17. While industrial turbines are more complex, they handle plenty of steam flow. Oh, nice, and they even show you how to build it. See, this is a very useful diagram, because when I was looking at the mechanism wiki to try and figure it out, it really was not helpful. So let's go ahead and get started. We needed 48 of these, and now this should autocraft correctly. 48 of those. We needed 48 structural glass. 16 turbine vents. Oh, it's going to take a lot. Let's see. $16, so I need 1, 2, 3 of these. 16 of those. 8 pressure dispersers. Iron. Let's see, need more iron bars. Oh, I can just autocraft these. Let me autocraft like 200. That ought to do it. How many? I needed 8 pressure dispersers. And those are going to take alloy. Let's make a bunch of that. Here we go. 8 dispersers, 2 turbine valves, 2 turbine rotors, 1 rotational complex, and 1 electromagnetic coil. Quest completed, mechanism turbine. Okay, now let's build this guy. So this is a 5 by 6 is what it said. So I need the casing. We're going to need more of these. And someone told me you can actually just stick this guy like directly. You can actually build it like this and just have the input right here. And that actually works. What was the input for this? Yeah, there we go. Turbine valve. So you can actually just do this, and it basically has infinite throughput. And we're going to need a lot more of these. How many did it say? It's funny, it tells you to make 48, but then you use them to make some of the other stuff. So let's make another 48 of these. There we go. 5 by 5 base. And then consult the diagram. 6 tall, and then they looks like, is that glass on the, no, it's just empty. So 6 tall. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, like so. Oh, I'm missing some on the side here. And then we'll have this guy on the side. So the steam will come in here, and then the power will come out on that side. Then how do I build the inside again? Like this. So you take these rotors, like that, throw in the rotational complex and the coil. Rotational complex. Then the coil goes on top. Is it like that? Rotational complex coil. And then these are the dispersers. The rotational complex goes above the rotors and surrounded by pressure dispersers. Pressure dispersers, rotational complex. Like so. Turbine vents go where? Like so. Need some ladders or something. Fission reactor casing. I don't want to use that. Let's grab some cobblestone. There we go. Get on top here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see, it gave us 16, so we'll use all 16. Can I do it like that? I'm not actually sure. And then we'll fill the rest with the glass. Oh, I didn't put... Huh? Huh, that's funny. It doesn't tell you have to make the turbine blades. One, two, three, 4. A good rule of thumb, each one can hold 2. So you put the glass in here. And hopefully this should work. It did not work. Did I forget something? I didn't forget anything. Unless I built it wrong. Oh, the top. That's why. There we go. There we go. Now it works. So now, if we turn this guy on, heating rate 2000 millibuckets per tick. Okay, let's see. Is the water keeping up? Steam. Dump excess steam. Water won't be recycled. That's fine. This will fill up with power, so we do have to get the power out. The water tank is emptying very fast, which is not good. Okay, nuclear waste is building. And we're going to have to turn this off, because you can see we're using, it says 2 buckets of water per tick. That's how much we're burning. Is it stabilizing? 2.2 millibuckets. I think it's stabilizing. I think I know what happened. I think the issue was, wait, if I add a capacity card, what does the capacity card do? Capacity card. There it is. Redstone capacity. Increases the amount, no, that's just filter slots. The acceleration card lets it push more water, but when it's not doing anything, it goes a lot slower. So I think that's what happened. So it seems like it is now stable at this amount. Or actually, is it going up a bit higher? I wonder how much water this is actually outputting. If I knew the exact amount, it would actually work a lot better. What is this? Okay, but now that's working. We're generating our nuclear waste, and this is making power. Not a ton. Turbine statistics. Yeah, not that great. Producing 1.14 thousand FE per tick, which is not that great, honestly. But it is power. I can also just make it bigger, but it does work for our needs. Logic adapter, Hyperion. So now that's done. The whole reason we had to set this up was to make antimatter. So now with the neutron activator, we can convert the nuclear waste into stuff. How do I do that? We could also make an antimatter chicken. Antimatter, antimatter pellet, chemical crystallizer. Yada yada, create reactors, create nuclear waste. You'll also need half as much as normal, SPS. Oh right, this is what. Plutonium, polonium. Polonium comes from this. Nuclear waste makes polonium. So we're going to convert nuclear waste into polonium. Where did I get the plutonium? Plutonium comes from nuclear waste in the isotropic centrifuge. Oh, but then I remember this was really slow, right? Because you need one bucket of plutonium to make one pellet. Were these particle effects always here? I think they were. Gotcha. So we're definitely going to need a lot more nuclear waste. Which is funny to me, because then they only show you how to make this really small one, which doesn't really produce a ton. Now, we can up the burn rate, but I could probably figure out how much water is actually being thrown into here from the export bus. So before I do that, let's actually math that out. Okay, so it seems like a single export bus with 4 acceleration cards can really only support 0.1 millibuckets per tick of burn rate, because I bumped it up to 0.2 and it started draining water really fast. Now, what I could do is just have the excess water get pumped out, chemical steam, dump it out as water and have it recycled, but I think what would be easier is just having more infinite sources of water get pumped into this. But I think to make this go faster, I just need to make a much bigger reactor. Because obviously this burn rate is way too low for how much we're going to need. Because I think it even says it here. Using the supercritical phase shifter, if we take a look at mechanism, I think they have it. Fusion reactor, supercritical phase shifter. To make the supercritical phase shifter, we need 40 SPS casings, and as you can see, that takes a lot of polonium and plutonium, which means we're going to need a much bigger reactor. This completely eliminates all possible nuclear waste, if that's a concern, though the energy used to process an amount of polonium is greater than the energy made to create it, so additional power is needed. Looks like that, we built it before. Each 1,000 millibuckets of antimatter can be turned into a single antimatter pellet. Nuclear waste can be safely dumped into radioactive barrels, but a reactor produces a lot of waste, which can still extract useful products. Interesting. You'll only need about half the normal amount of nuclear waste as normal. You still need a ton of nuclear waste though. Antimatter chicken. Yeah, because there's no other way around this, right? Oh, wait. 10 nuclear waste to 1 plutonium. So to make 1 plutonium, we only need 10 buckets of nuclear waste. It's not too bad. Still really slow though. So we're gonna need a much bigger fission reactor. And one of the benefits of making a bigger fission reactor is you could pump a lot more water into it, which means it'll run a lot faster too. So I think we should probably try using these pitcher plants, because I think they'll work. We just got to figure out a faster way to get water inside of it, which I'm not sure how to do. Maybe just a lot of pipes. But I guess we'll cover that next episode. I've already been recording for an hour and a half, so I think that's a good place to stop, because we do have only a couple more steps to finish these off. And I'll probably just build a bigger one in between episodes, so we can generate a lot more nuclear waste. Let's see. We are going to need a lot more fissile fuel though, which means I need a lot more yellow cake uranium. Make another 200 of this. Luckily that goes pretty fast. We do have access to a ton of uranium. Why do I have blocks of uranium? Wait a minute. Did they add these? I could have swore there were no blocks before. Unless I'm crazy. Huh? Oh, hello. Who are you? That's adorable. Hopefully he doesn't betray me. I don't think they would do that. Okay, we'll convert this in the enrichment chamber. And then quickly convert that. Sulfuric acid, hydrofluoric acid, yellow cake uranium. Yeah, I might just have to set this up to always produce that. Oh, but this has so much, it's actually not even an issue. Oh, it has no upgrades. Well, I guess right now, yeah, all I really need to do is make a bigger reactor. And then there's also the benefit of if I make a bigger reactor, we can use the power in the base anyway. So I guess that's what I'll have to do. Because this works, just doesn't work that great, as you could see. And as you could see, it does work. If you put it right next to it, it outputs the steam perfectly. So you don't even need a pipe. But for now, I think I just need a bigger reactor. How much bigger, I'm not sure. So, instead of adding this to the next episode, I thought I would just tack this on to the end of this episode. So, as you can see, this looks a lot more advanced than what we just finished, because it is. Because I was trying to figure out how we can keep this from overheating. As you can see, it has a heating rate of 40,000 millibuckets per tick. So it takes quite a lot of water. But now this guy does produce a massive amount of energy, which is really nice. Now, the way I accomplished this was I wanted a solution that didn't have a lot of lag, and people were saying laser I/O was really good for this. And it was actually pretty easy to set up. If you go into your quest book and go to logistics and automation, or logistics and automation, and look at laser I/O, it lets you transfer pretty much anything using lasers. Now, all the resources are pretty cheap. The only difficult thing is the logic chips. which even then it only takes charged redstone crystals in the world engine, but you get 16 of them per craft. So it was actually really easy to set up. You just need a wrench. And for the infinite water, I was using these pitcher plants. So you could see the blue line, they're all pulling water. And you can see from the blue lines here, they're all pushing water into the reactor. So to set this up yourself, in your laser node, you get all of these tabs. If you want this here, you have to use the card holder, because otherwise it takes up a lot of space. So craft the card holder and the card cloner. Where the pitcher plant is facing, put in a fluid card set to extract. Put in 4 card overclockers. That way you can transfer 40,000 every tick. Using the cloner, you could then clone those settings to all of the ones next to the pitcher plants. Then, using your wrench, right click to make it green like this, and then you can connect all of the laser nodes to all the laser nodes next to the fission reactor. Then all of the laser nodes attached to the reactor have a fluid card in set to insert. And that's all you have to do. They don't take power, they just automatically start working. So, as you can see, with these fluid cards, we can transfer 40,000 millibuckets of water every tick, multiplied by 24, and we're doing a ton of water. So I think we can actually push this even further if we go to 3 millibuckets. Yep, still not draining. But I think if I go too fast... No, the bucket stores quite a lot. So let's try pushing it even further to 4 millibuckets. We're still good. Let's try 5. We're still good. Okay, let's push it to 6. Okay, now we're starting to drain. So let's go back to 5. And it looks like we're still draining at 5 millibuckets per tick. Let's set it to... So I realized when I was changing the burn rate on here, I was pausing the recording. So that's funny. Anyways, there really wasn't too much else going on after I figured this out. I pretty much just made a bigger turbine, bigger reactor so we can get more fissile fuel. I did have to fix a couple things. Now if you come in here, you can see fissile actually doesn't store any. If you could look at our nuclear waste though, we're at 60 buckets of nuclear waste, which is getting stored in here, which we're going to be able to use to start making our polonium and plutonium, and we'll get started on that next episode. Looks like the sweet spot for our reactor is around 4.0 millibuckets per tick at the burn rate. If we go any higher, it starts to run out of water pretty fast, but it does work pretty well. Really, it seems like the only issue I'm having with the reactor is the cooling is so expensive. Not really sure how we can get it going a lot better. But with our current system, this does generate extra power for our base, which is really nice, which means we shouldn't have any problems going forward. But I guess we'll figure that out for next episode. But anyways, I'm your host, Hamas28, and I'll see you guys next time.